great. How are you doing over there in the quarantine burg?
Good. I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia, and Tom is in Suffolk, Virginia. If you know the Virginia layout, that's about an hour away from one another. So we're kind of using tech to make this thing work. What's happening down in the deep, dark woods of Suffolk?
Well, I'm on the farm, so things are great. I don't see or hear anything. We're quarantined, and I'm not hating it. I don't mind getting up and working in my PJs until 2:30 in the afternoon. I actually got up today and showered and shaved for the first time in a while. So that was
well, for those of you who keep up with the news, which is just about everybody these days, I'm in James City County, which is considered to be the epicenter of the coronavirus situation in Virginia. So if you're going to come visit me, wear a hazmat suit or something. This is a crazy place up in here. Anyway, thanks for tuning in wherever you're watching from. It might be Suffolk, it might be Williamsburg, it might be California or Japan. I don't know, but we welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And basically, we got into business together, Tom and I, because we love serving business leaders and entrepreneurs, and we especially love helping them with effective marketing. And what we do is we are a digital marketing agency. And for people who are not inside the industry, that might seem like pig Latin. And basically what we provide as a digital agency, we do marketing strategy for folks. We help with online search rankings. We do content creation. We do website design. We do social media management, graphic design, copy editing, videography. I mean, all of those types of things, that's what we do, because we don't live in a Yellow Pages world anymore. We live in an online world. So we provide these digital services to help these business leaders, owners, folks who run restaurants or real estate agents, you name it, all across the spectrum, to actually thrive in this online world. And what Tom and I have seen over the past couple weeks, 3 weeks, we've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails and face-to-face conversations from these entrepreneurs, and quite frankly, they're panicked. I mean, they're fearful. They've seen their business, some of them have shuttered, some have seen a drastic reduction in their sales, and they call us, they contact us, and they ask, what do I do right now? How do I make sales during this crazy Corona season? So when Tom and I began to talk about this, because we started this business because we love serving people, we said, well, let's keep on serving. So we decided to do this live stream, and I just want to say something from the get-go, that this live stream will have no sales pitch in it at all. This will not have a buy now button. You don't have to buy a course. We're not going to put a call to action, anything like that. We just really, honestly and sincerely want to serve. And we want to give you some free content that we normally reserve for our paying clients. But today we just said, hey, let's just open up the treasure chest and let's share some of these principles with anyone who might be struggling right now or just desperate to get their business back on the rails again. Now, one of the things I want to say before we get too far into this, because this is, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, this is Marketing Blueprint, Navigating Through a Recession or a Crisis. We do also have some notes available. And if you don't already have your notes, you can go to geniejarmarketing.com/notes, and you can download that puppy right there and print it out and start following us along, fill in the blank, and it might be of some good help to you. Now, before I turn it over to Tom, as we hit some of these principles, some of you might recognize the name Stephen Covey. And Stephen Covey, he wrote a book several years ago that was really popular called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the habits that he talks about, one of the principles, and I want to write this in at the very top of your notes. It's a principle that has always been stuck in my head. It's called sharpen your saw. And that originated with Stephen Covey. And it's basically a principle that says, whatever talents, your skill set, whatever tools that God has given you, make sure you sharpen those things on a regular basis so that you can be the best you. Now, how does that apply to what we're talking about today? And this is the second line of your notes, if you have your notes. And it basically means for us that you must regularly sharpen your marketing. And let's just be honest, this is just like a real informal conversation that we're having. but this probably relates both to me and to you out there. We often get so stinking busy sawing, doing business, that we don't take time to actually sharpen the saw. We don't take time to strengthen and to tweak and to change and to improve our marketing. And if our marketing stinks, then we're not going to have good leads. And if we don't have good leads, then we're not going to have much in terms of sales. So maybe this whole coronavirus season is giving us an opportunity while we're quarantined and isolated and practicing social distancing. Maybe this gives us an opportunity to look with fresh eyeballs again at our processes, what is working and what isn't with our marketing. So today we're going to share 3 key principles about what we feel you should be doing as a priority during this crisis season that we're in, so that you can not only make it through this season, but you can thrive on the other side of this season as well. And by the way, if you are following along and you want to throw us a question, a chat, a comment, we'll do our best to keep up with that and answer any questions that you might have along the way. But without further ado, I'm going to go straight over to Tom, and he's going to dive into the very first principle of what we feel you should be doing to navigate through this crisis. Tom, take it away.
Brian, great job. Thanks so much. I miss seeing you, man. I miss our little, creative sessions one-on-one, but these virtual ones are okay as well. I'm thankful that we have this technology. Number one, let's talk about your website. If you're a small business, you likely have a website or you have some presence right now. But having a website doesn't just solve the problems. It's like somebody opening a Facebook fan page and saying, well, where are the customers? You've got the tools, they're available, but you've got to get that shovel out of the garage. You've got to actually put it in the ground and put your foot behind it and actually use it for what it's worth, what it was designed for. So your website, very simply, look at your website, not now, but later. Take a look at the home page, and we call that above the fold. That's old newspaper talk for some of us old guys. But when somebody logs onto your website, what is the first thing they see? We feel strongly that your website should answer 3 questions. Number 1, what does your business do? Number 2, what is your business offering? And then number 3, how do I get it? If I look at your website in 5 to 7 seconds, can't answer those 3 questions, then I'm more than likely going to skip or bounce off of that. And one thing we don't want to do is have potential leads and potential clients, paying customers bounce from our websites. So as I look at your website, what do you do? How do I get it? And how does it change my life? How is it going to improve? And we could do that through buttons, through photos, through copy. There's all kinds of ways to do that. But those 3 things. So as you look at your web presence, make sure you can answer those 3 questions. Here's the other thing. People don't read websites. They scan them. I don't know if it's because of this digital world we're in, or, I just need the latest and greatest, images, but they scan them. I do the same thing when I go to look for something or search or get a photo or trying to do something on your website to try to buy your product. I scan it and I look for those trigger terms or trigger photos that answer the questions that I'm asking when I go to your website in the first place. People choose the clearest options all the time, not necessarily the best option. You may have a great company. You may be the number 1 product in your industry. But if the number 5 company in your industry who's across town is a little more clear about their product and getting to them, they're going to get the business and not you. So necessarily not having the best product or not best option is the way to go. You need to have the clearest option. When I go to your website and scroll and I'm looking for your product or your service to solve my problem, you need to be clear and concise and compelling so that when I click on that button, I know exactly what I'm getting. The Z pattern is another kind of a test or checklist that we have right here in our digital lab. Is it the Z test? So the Z test simply is this: as I look at your website, on the left corner is your name, your brand, your logo there. As I naturally go across the page, from left to right, is there a call to action on the right-hand side? So you see, I've just drawn the top line of the Z. As I scan towards the bottom of that home page, towards the bottom, am I reading some things that you'll help me to understand? How are you solving my problem? Is there a clear photo of representation of you solving that problem? And then as I come back from left to right, Are those trigger buttons that I need to act now or buy now or check this out here? Those three things. So as you can see, I'm gonna try to do it backwards. Z pattern going across. Did I do that right, Brian?
You did it.
All right.
It's like a meteorologist.
Z to me, but Z to you as you're looking is backwards.
There you go. That's it.
Something like that. So naturally, a consumer is going to respond that way. That's the way we've been trained, and that's the way consumers have been trained for the 20 plus years that websites have been alive. So make sure that your website has a Z pattern, because you want natural flow into that 5 to 7 second testing period about what do you do, how do I get it, how's it going to change my life. So one problem or common mistake or common problem that a lot of folks do is they want to put everything up top, because let's face it, you guys have a business for a reason. You're really good at what you do. You really have a good product or good service, and people should buy your product or your service. So they try to put everything up top and put, it reminds me, Brian, of you do a little quarter-page ad in a newspaper or a magazine, and you try to put your picture, your headline, every piece of copy that describes it. You put your name, your fax, your telephone number, let's see, your calling card, library number, all these things in this ad. That's all good information, but really too many buttons makes a consumer bounce because there's confusion. And when you confuse, you'll lose, as our friend Donald Miller says. So you don't want to confuse. You want to be very clear about the buttons. So choose those buttons that are a call to action that's going to make that consumer go, oh, wow, how did they know I was thinking that? I need to click here because they're going to solve the problem and why I came to their website in the first place. So, and that leads to the call to action. The call to action is so important simply because, people came to your website, or your potential clients came to your website because you have something that they want. Ask for the sale. Ask for them to sign up. Ask for them to register. It's okay. They're there for a reason. They're there for you to guide them through the process of buying your product or your service. So you'll need to be very clear about that. It falls into that Z pattern. Your logo goes across, buy now, sign up here, free assessment here, free whatever you have here. That needs to be a call to action that's very clear on that. So elements of your homepage, let's talk about that. So I want to make sure that you put every single thing you need to on your homepage. And listen, these little Google bots are always scanning. When somebody types in a term that doesn't know your company or doesn't know where your company is. Hi, my daughter from Lynchburg just came home. Good to see you, sweetheart. Love you. I guess we're not in that 6-foot quarantine because she has family. I hope she didn't bring anything in the house. But anyway, the effective website. What are some things that you need to have on your homepage? All right, obviously your logo, your brand, what you speak of. This is who you are. This is your name. This is how you introduce yourself to the world. It is www, World Wide Web. You're introducing yourself to the world. So your logo. Minimal navigation buttons. Again, you want clarity. You want concisiveness. You want your potential lead, your potential client to go to your website and choose the right button that they're there to engage in the first place. Call to action, must, necessary, top right-hand corner. I like to have a call to action button right in the center as well. In case you missed it up in the right-hand corner. Is that right? Left?
Yes, you got it.
That's right. Okay. Right there. There's a TV jar. Isn't that cool? It's in the right-hand corner. In the right-hand corner, call to action. But as they scroll down your website, I want another call to action. In case you missed this button, here's another button that's going to take you exactly where you need to go. High-resolution photos. Right there on the home page. It should be crisp and clean. You're looking at, and this is, this is more of digital lab talk, but 1,200 pixels wide, which gives you a nice, clean, crisp photo. If you can't think enough about your company to put a photo that's not pixelated or blurry, then the consumer's going to think, well, you don't really think much about your product or much about serving me, so they may bounce. So make sure you have a clean, crisp product. There's a lot of free options online. There's even some inexpensive stock photography options that you can do. And what our favorite is do a photo shoot. If you're a restaurant, do photos of your actual food. There's nothing that frustrates me more than going to a restaurant and I saw a beautiful hamburger, and then when I get there, it's like, it looked nothing like that. That's frustrating too. Even though that hamburger may be delicious, it's still frustrating because I'm disconnecting from the brand that you presented in the meantime. So high resolution photo is a must. A headline that solves a pain point. The reality is we're all in the medication business, right? So every customer that comes to our website, whether we sell medicinal products or not, has a hurt, a pain. We as the client and we as the business have the medicine that's going to heal that pain. So we need to be very clear on a call to action that solves that pain point. You want that consumer to go to your website and immediately go, well, how did they know I was thinking that? That's exactly what I'm looking for. Photography is a business that's very, there's a lot of photographers out because we all have smartphones and the ability to do digital photos quick, and they're getting better and better and better. Well, now the whole world is a photographer. A photography studio or a person who does photos for a living, that could damage. However, you can really re-engineer that to solve a problem that they have. One of the problems that these homemade photographers have with their iPhones is that they can't capture clear sports photos. So if you're a photographer and you want to do live action photos, your headline or your pain point is we help capture clear sports photos of your kids. So very simple, very to the point, and it's medicine that solves the problem that I was thinking of. Your one-liner. One-liner is a must. It should be on your website. It should be on your calling card. Listen to me. I'm 1920s here. Your business card, I think, is what they call them nowadays. It should be everywhere. And what that does is identifies 3 lines. So in one sentence, can you tell me exactly what you do? When folks ask me, Tom, what do you do? I don't say, well, I'm Tom Powell. I'm one of the head genies over here at Genie Jar. That's my title. What I do is I understand that small to mid-sized companies struggle with their marketing. I've identified the problem, number 1. Number 2, we have developed a unique solution. That's my problem solving. The number 3 helps develop leads and sales. So in that one-liner, I've identified a problem. I have identified how we uniquely solve that problem. And then I identify that successful result. And when you can craft that in as minimal words in a sentence as you can, you're going to speak directly to the pain points of your customer and begin to build that trust and loyalty that you need for sales. We always like to have a welcome video. Personality is very important, I feel, because this is a digital world and they call it social media, but it's as antisocial as it can be because you can get things done without touching having a human interaction. So having a welcome video, from your staff, from your employees, from a satisfied customer, something that says, hey man, you've come to the right place if this is what you're looking for. Here is our experience. Here is our process. Here's how we solve it. Nothing long. 30 to 45 seconds is all you need. And you've probably got a phone in your pocket that can do all of these things right away with good clarity and resolution. So a video is a favorite of ours as well. Having a lead magnet. Your company has a bullseye product, which means you have a product or a service that is what you are in business to sell. That's your big profit. That's your big money maker. Having a lead magnet is something that leads you to that bullseye product. For instance, I always tell this story. I'm happily married, way out of my leg, by the way, with 4 children, and just loving life. Well, I didn't sit down with my wife when we first met and said, hey, we're going to get married and have 4 children. We're going to foster some babies. We're going to live on a farm. It's going to be great. It's likely that she would have gotten up and left because I'm weird. What I had to do first is introduce myself. Hi, my name is Tom. That was my lead magnet, and here's how I want to tell me more about yourself. That was my lead into getting to that bullseye, which was marriage. So that's what we need to do. We need to have something that leads our clients, and PDFs are a great way to just take 1 or 2 pages and share some information. Your product or service is likely not unique. There's likely more companies that do exactly what you do. What you want to do is differentiate yourself by helping your client understand and be educated on these products more so than your clients are doing. So if you are an organization that's trying to clean water, here's 5 ways. Here's a PDF of 5 ways you can do your part in helping to clear our waterways. Or if you are a restaurant, hey, here's 5 ways to try to make the hamburger that we love to make here in our place. So what they're doing is they're spending time reading, downloading. They're spending time with your product. And what you are doing is you're positioning yourself as an authority. You're validating yourself, even though you may be given some ideas or some things, and people may try these things at home, they're still not you. And the reality is when they buy your product, they get your product and they get you. So a PDF lead magnet or something that collects emails. So once you have that PDF magnet on there, oh yeah, I'm interested in that. Tell me 5 ways I can help my waterways. I want to click that button, and there I want to give my name and my email address to get that document that I look for. See, what we're doing is we're trading value for value. I value as a business your email. You value as a consumer the information that I want to share with you. So it's an even trade. And so what that does is begin to collect data so that down the road we have a database, an email database that we can reach out to those clients immediately with our conversation. Another thing that is important is a game plan. You know, most businesses do this. They just take for granted that clients know exactly how to purchase their product or their service. Well, it's right there on the website, or you should see our Facebook page. Well, no, what you want to do is give a client or a potential lead a 3-step plan to purchase and enjoy your product. For instance, let's go on restaurants, because we had a lot of restaurant conversations this week. You know, they've had certainly a paradigm change in their pickup and delivery as opposed to dine in. But step by step, what's important for restaurants right now? Number 1, go to our website and choose your menu. Number 2, call us and place your order. Number 3, pick up at the side door and have the best meal you've ever had. So what I have done is I have given my consumer a 3-step plan, which I can easily process and go, that sounds easy. I think I'll go, right? So you may have a more complex business than that. You know, in the advertising world, Brian, we do a lot of that. Well, what do you do? We do so many things, but what we want to do is take you through 3-step process. Number 1, get your strategy. Number 2, launch your strategy. Number 3, enjoy leads and sales. It's really that simple. There's a lot of minutia in between that, but I don't want to confuse my clients and get them off track by taking them down the road that I may get glared eyes or just I may lose them because I'm giving them all the information and I'm getting in the weeds a little bit too deep. So have a 3-step plan right on your website that teaches your clients how to buy your product. Testimonials are another thing that we need on our websites. You know, how do other people respond to your testimonials? We get back and forth here. Well, I'm not going to put a bad testimonial on there. Well, why not? Let's say your business had a situation where it was not a good end to it. How did you solve that? Well, you want that person to give us a testimony. At first, I bought their product and I was dissatisfied, but then they came back and gave the best customer service I've ever had. That's taking a negative and turning it into a positive for testimonials. Of course, you want to have those shining testimonial moments with trophies and glitter and fireworks and all that other stuff, your best ever or whatever, and keep it short. Keep it personal. I love testimonies that are videos. If a client, a satisfied customer wouldn't mind doing that, that's also a good thing. So have clear testimonies on there. And then here's probably one of the most important things you can put on your website, and we call that the junk drawer. This is all the information about your business that's important, but it's not important to get that lead and sale. About frequently asked questions, here's our awards, other things like social media content. Websites have been around long enough to train viewers to know. I know if I need more information, all I have to do is go to the bottom. I'm going to find the phone number. I'm going to find frequently asked. I'm going to find any information that I want about individual things. I want to reserve the top above the fold, the bulk of the website to sell and introduce my product. And at the bottom, I want to put some information in there. The reality is you may have been in business for 57 years, and that's awesome, second generation. But to the buyer who just met you, they don't really care. They want to know that you can get their product and their service. So let's put that information at the bottom. Hey, we're a 3rd generation family, which is awesome. I think that's important to know eventually, but not important for that lead and sale. So that was a lot of information that I threw up on you. I hope you took some time and fill out some blanks in there and take that and use it. So I want you to take that website diagram, those questions, and go to your website, if you have one, and answer those questions one at a time. How are you doing? Grade yourself. Be hard on yourself. You want to sell and move your product, and we want to help you do that through your website. So that's number 1. Brian?
That was great stuff, Tom. And I believe you squeezed a master class of website into about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. That was fantastic. And by the way, we've got a few comments from Jessica Baker. She says, love this info. And then she mentioned what you said about keeping it personal with a welcome video. So thank you, Jessica, for those comments. And again, if anybody has any questions along the way regarding anything that Tom just mentioned about websites, comments, questions. Tom, quick question, kind of putting you on the spot about what you just taught about. Is there a website that you consider to be the gold standard that does these things well, that just comes to mind, that hits these effective homepage elements and the 5-second test and all that type of thing?
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot. And my answer immediately is going to be geniejardigital.com. We practice what I set up, by the way. So was that the right answer? Is that what I was supposed to say? Yeah.
Somebody else.
If we can't practice what we preach, then how can we help others? But Yeah, if that's a good question, Brian. If you want us to send you a list of websites that we love, that have followed this pattern, that you can sort of look at from different industries, send Brian or I an email, which is the information that's on that notes handout, and we'll make sure that you get that.
And I will say a big shout out. You mentioned his name earlier, I believe, Donald Miller with StoryBrand.
Right.
Some of these principles, now we've tweaked them a little bit for our own use. Some of these principles come from that StoryBrand format and framework. And some of you might be familiar with that. If not, just kind of Google StoryBrand. But I would also say, Tom, if you would agree, that even the StoryBrand website, they take their own medicine with that. So
they sure do.
Once you begin to see the skeleton form of a great optimized website, then you start to see it everywhere or notice it when you come across it. You also notice when a website isn't doing it well. So that's my next question. From the people that you know doing business, what's the worst website that you've seen, Tom?
Oh, Lord. How about Amazon?
Answer that. No, let's be honest. We all need some help. We can all tweak our websites. It's always, I look at it like a document that always needs editing. It always needs a refresh with our websites. And we're constantly working on ours, and we're unhappy with it, and we kind of add more things. So don't be discouraged. But when you get your website correct, it's one of the most important things that you can do through this crisis, because people will visit your website first to try to check who you are and what you do. Okay, moving right along. And by the way, thank you, T.A. Powell. Yes, sir. That's Tom's dad, who says, good job. You can always count on your dad.
All right. You know that. Thank you for my dad and 2 friends and my kids who are watching now.
That's right. Okay, let's go to the second principle. Let's build on the website, and the next thing that you should be working on through this crisis, and that is your lead capture system. And I'll take this one just for a couple of minutes. We've always said, Tom and I, to our clients, that leads obviously come before sales. It doesn't really work the other way around. If it does, it's the rare exception. You've got to have a lead before you can close the deal. And the problem with a lot of our businesses, we don't put a real strategic focus on how to get leads. So how do you expect to grow in sales if you have no plan whatsoever for your leads? It's more than just word of mouth. Now, word of mouth and referrals, those are great. Don't get me wrong, and we should all strive for that. But you got to have a plan in place more than just relying on maybe somebody sharing word of mouth about your company. So let's talk about that for these next couple of minutes. And I will say that whenever you start this system, you've got to have one key principle in mind. And I'll put this right here on the screen as well. And that is, you want your lead capture system to be a win-win. In other words, it's got to be good for you, and you want it to be good for your prospective customer as well. What that means is you want them to receive something of value from you, some content, some information. You're answering some of their questions. You're addressing their pain points, whatever it takes. You've got to put that in, so when they receive what you're sending them, they think, wow, this is good stuff. And in return for them downloading whatever you send them, they give you their name and their email address at a minimum. Maybe you can get a phone number too, depending on how risky you want to be. Sometimes more that you ask for, the less you'll get. So we often say get their name and get their email. Now that is absolutely critical, getting someone's email address. We are in the 21st century, and when someone shares with you their email address, that is like them giving you a virtual bar of gold, because it's really important in these days. People, they just don't want to give their email to anyone because of junk and spam and all that stuff that no one wants to see in their inboxes. But when someone does give you that email, what's that saying to you? They're saying, hey, I trust you. Please don't send me a spam, and I'm going to believe that you're going to send me something of value, some good things that can help me in the questions that I have about your service or your product. So be all about the win-win. You give them quality, and that's why they'll give you back their contact information. That's the first step. You got to have contacts. Now, there are many different options of how you can develop a lead capture system. And this is on your notes if you have those in front of you, but I'll just hit these real quick. One of the most popular ways is to create a PDF. a document. And this can be answering the key question that they might have, or several questions. And you can, for instance, let's say you run an HVAC company. What could be your PDF? You could say, hey, download this 3 to 5 page PDF of 5 ways to maintain your system, your air conditioning system, throughout the summer or throughout the winter. Now, when someone visits that website, they think, man, my system seems to break down once a summer, once every winter. And then if they see that, they're like, okay, this is good information. I need this to keep me from spending all this money. They'll download it and give you their email address. Another thing that you can do is to offer a checklist. Again, turn it to a PDF, and you can say, let's say that you are a real estate agent. We work with lots of real estate agents and realtors. You could say, hey, here's 20 things to remember with a checklist that we're going to give you about a home sale. When you purchase a home, 20 things that you need to know for a checklist. And when you make it really simple like that, people will just eat that stuff up. So checklists are really popular. Video sales letters are also one of our favorites. And that's just basically you getting on your smartphone and recording maybe a 3-minute, 4-minute video. And you're just kind of walking someone through a little tutorial of some of the common issues they're facing that your business can solve. A lot of people do this on YouTube, but if you put this on your website in specific and strategic areas, man, that can be a great lead capture system for someone wanting to watch that video. Another is giveaways. Some people give away books. We had one client who gave away wine bottles to clients just to say, hey, thank you for checking in. If you're interested, if I can send you a proposal, I'll send you a bottle of wine, which is really cool. Free strategy calls is another option. You can say, hey, I'll give you 15 minutes for free or 30 minutes. And we'll work through your situation, your problems, your complications, and we'll figure it out. No strings attached. People will gladly give you their email address if you offer something like that. Another is when you go to conferences, don't just settle if, let's say that you have a booth. Don't just settle for being behind that booth and just giving out junk. Make sure that when you give out stuff, you're also trying to have a way to capture that information from people who actually take your swag. So you want to make sure that when you go to conferences, you do have a system for getting as many emails and names as possible. Another is, again, this is kind of ties into everything, ongoing content that you produce. When you start looking at your company as not just doing XYZ service or product, but you start looking at yourself as a content producing machine, then you're going to be in all the better for that. You're going to be much better because now you're producing regular content that people want to scoop up and learn from. And that can also help you to increase your rankings on search engines. When you start putting this stuff in blogs and vlogs and podcasts and live streams like we're doing, that kind of information, people lap it up. And then the last thing here is a lead product. And a lead product is one of the most overlooked areas for lead capture, in our humble opinion. What's a lead product? A lead product is simply when you offer something for free or at a very, very low cost in order to show a prospective customer that you can deliver the goods with the hope of leading them to your most profitable product, which is called the bullseye product. Now, for instance, this would be like a baker saying, hey, for $1.99, I'll give you my gourmet chocolate bar. $1.99. Everybody can afford $1.99. But if they really enjoy that chocolate bar, then you can say, okay, if you like that, how about considering my $50 chocolate cake? So that's a lead product that can set up your bullseye product, and you can offer that for a special discount by getting their email and by getting their name. So again, those are some key areas or ways to capture some leads. Now, here's also something that's really, really critical. And if you're thinking, okay, that sounds great, but I don't really know where to get started with mine, and let's write this in on your notes. You need to ask yourself constantly when you're trying to come up with your content, what are the key questions that my target market is asking? If you can figure out the answer to that question, then you'll have endless content possibilities. So what we often do, we write down all the key questions that we know our clients often ask. And then we say, okay, if we want to write a blog, let's look at the questions that they're already asking, and let's write a blog that answers that particular question. So I would challenge you to write 50 questions or more out, and then try to produce content around the answers to those questions. Now, let me also ask you something, an important question, and this kind of might step on our shoes a little bit, and we can all improve, but here's the question, an important question to ask yourself. This is page 3 of the notes, by the way. When you think about your website, ask yourself, does my website offer any tempting resource for someone to actually give me their email? Now, you would be shocked when we work with different clients, and let's just all be honest, we all can improve, but so many websites, maybe even the majority of small business websites, when you go visit their website, they have nothing there on the home page that would even tempt me to give an email address to them. They have nothing that they're offering. Now, the closest that we see to this, and Tom, you can speak to this because I know you're passionate. You could probably read my mind, Tom. What am I talking about that most people put on their website? They think it's really cool, but really a bad thing for lead capture.
I can't read your mind, Brian, so I'm going to default to you for that right answer.
Sign up for my...
Oh, that's right. Newsletter. How exciting is a newsletter, right?
You know, when people do this and they say, hey, I've got a little box down there that says sign up for my newsletter. That might work 1 out of 500 visits on a website, 1 out of 1,000, because no one gets excited about getting a newsletter unless you're getting it from your mom or your son or a family member. Okay, that's different. So forget about calling it a newsletter. That's why you need to come up with a lead capture product and say, this is what you need. You can give me your email address for this, and you'll watch at how people gravitate towards that. So think about your website. Are you answering key questions, and are you producing content that you're offering to them in exchange for a win-win? They get the value and you get the contact information. And let's see, we got a few more comments. Hey, Catherine Talley Gray, that is my mother-in-law. Thank you so much for watching. She says, I'm looking great.
Of course.
Thank you so much. And Bern Haas, great job, guys. Fantastic info. Appreciate that. And Jessica Baker just has Tom with a smiley face. So there you go. Anything that I'm forgetting with lead capture system, Tom, anything you want to add to that?
Fantastic job, Brian. Thank you for sharing all of that information.
All right, why don't you take us the final one here, the third principle of things to navigate during a crisis.
Right. Well, we've got the third principle, and we understand your time is valuable, so we want to wrap this up. Thank you for tuning in and watching this. This is stuff that we sit down and share with our paying clients every single day. We're more than happy to give this information to you because we want you to be successful. As Brian talked about, there's the lead capturing system. But once I get these leads, what do I do then? It doesn't matter if you've got all of this information and there's no activity to it. It reminds me of a particular story about Ali Hafed. You may have heard this story before, but Ali Hafed, back in the olden days, early 1900s, learned that there was a diamond mines all around him, and he couldn't sleep one night. So he ended up the next day deciding to sell his farm, give the money to his family so that they can survive. And then he went out to trek to find these diamond mines all over Europe. Long story short, he was unsuccessful and ended up committing suicide. Well, what he didn't realize is that when he sold his farm, the new buyer of that farm discovered these big black rocks in the stream while he was trying to plant a garden. And it was frustrating to him. So he would take these rocks and throw them off to the side. The pastor in the area came to the house and said, "Hey, I see these rocks here. Is Ali home yet?" And he was puzzled. No, he's not home. He didn't remember who he even was. But yeah, these are diamonds. I thought he was back. What had happened is these diamonds were all over his own property as a nuisance to the new buyer because he was throwing them out. But now he has uncovered a diamond mine literally on that property. So, which is now the largest diamond mine around. And so the purpose of this story is you've got a lot of stuff. You're sitting on acres of diamonds right where you are. You've probably got some emails or some contacts, or even if you're a brand new business, you have some ways to get started. Dig first where you are. All right, that first line, the takeaways: dig first on your own property. Don't try to spend money to advertise, and don't try to do that yet. Let's dig first on our own property. I'm a business owner. I started my own business. There was not tons of money to start with, so we had to scratch around. Dig first on your own property. Next line, you must create trust before you can sell. So if I've got a product and I want to sell to you, I can't do that unless you've got trust in me. And so this process, this lead nurturing process, gives you trust. So how we do lead nurturing is through our email addresses. We constantly, on a weekly basis, send an email out that gives something to help you in your marketing, whether it's your website or your leads or your advertising or your content or how to do a blog. We want to share information with you every single week that helps motivate you and educate you to do your best in your marketing. What this does is two things. Number one, it helps you to get that content so that you can be the best business owner that you can be and be successful. But number two, it develops a trust for us. You, on the other hand, if you have a question for us or you want to follow up with our company, you have a tendency to trust us more because of the content that we've given to you. So we want to help you develop that same thing for your businesses. Develop that trust on that nurturing system. The next line, many businesses have tons of customer emails, but they never use them. That's amazing to us when we get a large client that says, one of the first questions is, what does your database look like? How many emails do you have? Well, we have emails. There's 5,000, but we don't really. Are you kidding me? You've got that many emails and you're not constantly. These people have given you their emails for a reason. And the reason is they want to hear from you. They're interested in your product or your service or you, and they want to hear from you. So bring those back to life. This is a funny thing. Get over your fears. When you send good contact, you're not viewed as a pest. You're viewed as a welcome guest. So when you as a business of a service or product give information out, you're not an annoyance. You're not a pest. You're a welcome guest. They've given you that information. Now, whether they open that email address or not really doesn't matter, does it, Brian? What that does is they have seen my name. They've seen my company name. Hopefully the subject line that I put in there is interesting enough to pick up. But we're constantly reminding them that, hey, we're still here. We're still here to help. And we feel like you need to do the same thing as far as nurturing those leads that you have. One of the most affordable ways to do marketing is through this nurturing system of email. Here's a sample plan. This is what we do. And this is what we recommend on some level of scale to a lot of our clients is number one, weekly. We do social media posts. And at this point, some of those are daily and sometimes multiple times a day. If you have a restaurant right now, why aren't you posting your specials or a way that you have developed a new curbside service or the way that you have taken your menu and pulled it into a way that's consumable now for pickup. Those are things that you need to do on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly or even monthly. Do an email or a blog. Just introduce yourself again. Hey, remember us? We're those people that give you things or tell you more about our product or want you to have a happy life. So here's another email that we can do another scale of that. Monthly webinars. We're doing one here, but these are things that people want to. You consider yourself again as a business. You are the medicine to a company's pain points. The reason why people reach out to you is because they're hurting. They've got a pain point that only you can satisfy. And you've got the medicine for that. So a monthly webinar on how to handle a certain thing. If you're a fitness gym, certainly you've got some challenges now because gyms are closed down. What are you doing to reach out on a monthly basis to maybe show some new techniques or how to do these things at home, showing that when the world gets back to order, and it will, as it always does, it will correct itself. You are now launched into one of those companies that helps instead of starting all over again. So that's what that does. Quarterly, you can send postcards. You can do private events. Postcards are great. We still believe in the mail system. We like to be unique, do an oversized king size postcard. So it does get some attention before it gets that 17 seconds from the mailbox to the trash can. You have to speak clearly on that. But then private events, we have some service industries that'll do once a quarter. They'll do a 3-course wine tasting for some of their better clients and ask them to invite somebody else that they think would be a potential customer. Those always work well, and those always build great relationships for your businesses. And then annually, a promotional gift. It's funny, Brian, you mentioned the trade show thing, how somebody just goes to a promo a deal online and just tries to get some quick pens or quick. Those are things that need to be thought out, because you want that is your leave behind that goes home with a person. I think one of the best promo items is at any of these trade shows is to get the big, nice bag that the clients or the attendees put all of the other promo items in and carries it around with your big fat name on the side of it. I think that's the genius of that. But listen, don't be cheap on the bag. There's Aldi's around. We're going to keep these bags now because we have to pack our own groceries up now. So those are some sample ways that you can continue a lead nurturing system. But the reality is, continue that lead nurturing, because you can't have leads before you have sales. And once your clients or your potential clients trust you, they're more likely to buy from you. And when they buy from you, they're going to spread the word about how their experience was to their network and to their referrals. So make sure that you have those systems in place. Brian, what I have seen the last couple of weeks is that those who have these systems in place, or pieces of these systems, are being made stronger even through a pandemic like we're going through right now. So I kind of look at this as, there's recessions, there's crisis, there's all kinds of things that alter the normal course of how the world works. When you have these systems in place, these are the ones who can continue to grow or stabilize. And then when this is over, and again, it will be over, then they are far more launched in another level when they get to the other side. So yes. That's what I have. That's what we have. Brian, how do we do?
That's beautiful, man. You inspire me. We need to continue to improve our website and look at things with fresh eyes, as we encourage everyone else to do. And just a couple of more comments. Frank Otero, it's a good friend of mine. And I just want to give him a shout out, because he has a great website, brand new website, connectpowerwash.com. And if you haven't checked that out, please do. If you need any painting or power washing done, this guy, he is the best. He mentioned in his comments that we value offers and discounts, which I think he put that in there when we were talking about the lead capture system. And that's something good that we should mention. Another great lead capture is to offer a coupon code, a discount, some kind of value. People will always look at that and say, wait a second, I get 40% off or 50% off if I give you my email. Okay, count me in. But again, make sure it's a win-win. Make sure it's a big enough percentage that they actually want to opt into that kind of discount. So that's a key. So Frank, thanks for saying that.
Right. Nice website, by the way, Frank. I don't know who your web designer was, but they followed along the Z pattern. I thought it was very well done. I just looked it up. Good job, Frank.
Yes. And then again, from Kathy Talley Gray, this is my dear mother-in-law. And again, thank you to mother-in-laws and moms and dads and grandparents out there who support us. And she has a great question. By the way, she runs a business called Ghent Caregivers. And if you're ever looking to get some nannies for your children and you need help in finding the right ones, GhentCaregivers.com is a great website. She mentioned, Tom, you might want to take the question and I'll follow you up with it. She says, hope this is not a question you've already addressed, which we haven't. What advice do you have about revealing prices on a website?
I think that is a great question. My response to that is, why wouldn't you? The more, when clients ask questions, we want to provide answers. So when we give them answers that they're looking for, in reality, if you have a product like that or a service, they're looking for price because they're shopping. Well, give them the price. Why not? But then along that price, here's our lead product that's going to help you to make that decision a lot better. So I'm going to give you that $49 a month, but I'm going to give you the first month for free if you sign up here. Mm-hmm. So give that price. We put prices on our website. We went against our entire industry in marketing, because in the service industry, every marketing campaign is different. Resources are different. What Brian and I decided to do is, that's one of the pain points that our clients were asking. Well, how much does it cost to have a marketing strategy? Well, it's on our website and it's all listed there. And, we want to give offers because we want them to see what it costs and plan better. And the more information you give to your clients, the more they're going to lean towards you as a trusted company that they want to do business with. Yeah, great question.
And just to piggyback on that too, Tom, people again go to websites to have their questions answered. That's why we do the lead capture and all that type of stuff. And one of the number one questions is how much? And that's where people go first when they're researching if they should do business with you or not. And if they go to your website and they cannot find anything about pricing, they're going to be frustrated. And a frustrated customer is often not a customer that converts. They will go to someone else who does offer a clearer explanation. And even though they might not provide as good of a service or product that you do, if that other competitor is more clear and more open, they'll get more business. So do not be afraid of hiding your prices. Put them out there. One of the excuses that people often say is, I'm not going to put my prices because my competitors will see it. Well, who cares? Who cares about your competitors? You're not trying to do everything because of your competitors. You're trying to be a leader in your field. Don't worry about them. You do your best. You have a great competitive price, and then you have a compelling message, and you will see business come in. So we are very passionate about putting prices as much as possible on websites and not playing hide and go seek. Be upfront, and people will really appreciate that. So Kathy Talley Gray, great question. Thank you so much. She's in Norfolk, Virginia, by the way. So we're kind of spreading out through Hampton Roads.
There's a great question here, Brian, from Frank Otero. He talks about, and the question is, I would be interested in your opinion on pros and cons on advertising on Facebook, whose Google business, and the list goes on there. Connect Power Wash and painting services need more social media exposure. Frank, great question. But what I want to do is not put the cart before the horse. The first thing, and the first way I respond to this is make sure your website is search engine ready. Which means every page, everything, all the content on your web presence, that is your digital footprint, your worldwide digital footprint. That needs to be straight first, because when a client searches on Google or Yahoo or Bing, those little bots, that's the first thing to look for. So number one. Number two, you asked on advertising on Facebook, and we encourage that. Number one, Facebook is free to post, but then there's also ways to advertise. I'm not a huge fan of boosted posts. I know that there's some instances that can be an advantage of, but what I am a fan of is advertising on Facebook. If you do that, here's the three things that you need to do. Number one, make sure that advertising links to a lead generator, all right? Not your target product. So Frank, I think you're doing power washing. Frank, I want you to offer a coronavirus 20% discount for the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to advertise that on Facebook, not on a boosted post or not on a post, but on an advertisement on Facebook, that once I click to that, I am led to your website where I can get the information and download that coupon. So what I have done is I've taken them to your website, I've captured their information. I'm going to trade you 20% of my services, which are awesome, for your email address. I think that's a good trade. I have a home. That's a great trade for me. I'm going to do that. But then what I can do then, and what Facebook allows us to do through Ads Manager, is to begin to retarget those ads. I can look at those ads and tell lots of information, from capturing email addresses to retarget that to areas that it's going to get more profitable. So that's a whole nother, lesson on how to run Ads Manager and how to do Facebook advertising. But I hope that answers your question. Is yes, you should, but make sure that your digital footprint, your website, is ready and search engine ready, so that you are organically going to the top of these searches. And then when you do advertise, give a link that clicks to your website, so you can get that flow going. And you use your Facebook page on post on information on, okay, so how do I keep my concrete sidewalks from getting tarred up all the time or so much faster? Or what do I do? Do I bring in my furniture when it rains so I don't have to power? So things like that, you can use Facebook page for information that helps educate your clients.
And those are great practical tips. I mean, that's wonderful. And I would also say too, and Tom did touch on this, hit the fundamentals first before you start blowing money to Zuckerberg Incorporated, because you can really blow a lot of cash quick with Facebook. And a lot of people have burned through mounds of cash and seen very little, not because Facebook is bad. It can be a very powerful rocket ride for you, but you have to go back to the very fundamental and make sure you know who your target market is. Number one, who is your target? It's not everybody in the world. It's got to be a specific customer avatar. Who is it? Is it a 20-something? Is it a teenager? Is it a 30, 40-year-old? Is it a male? Is it a female? You got to know that target market, up and down. And then you got to know how to speak to them. And if you can get that target market, you know exactly who you're talking to, and you have a message that just merges perfectly with who they are and what makes them tick, then you will see success no matter what platform you're using, especially Facebook. But again, it's a messaging issue for most people. They spend all this money, but they don't put much time on the messaging and the thought of how to get them to the next step. And what Tom shared, absolutely excellent. Get them to your website, offer that lead capture, get their email, offer them a discount. You're off to the races. So that's great stuff. Absolutely.
Good deal. Great, Brian. Well, that concludes our information. I don't mind sticking around for a little bit more. Hey, listen, if you've got questions from here into eternity, this video will be made available afterwards. Our email addresses, Lord willing, will remain live. Thanks for putting those up there, Brian. So Tom at geniejar.net or Brian at geniejar.net. Happy to help you in any way that we can. No strings attached, no obligation. Just let us help you.
And I know we threw a lot at you today. Thank you for your patience. It's hard to say everything in a very short period of time. Hey, Sharon, thank you. She says great stuff.
Right.
Sharon Ray Powell, Downey. And then Karma says great response. That answers my question. Thank you, Carmen and Frank, for watching. We really appreciate your support. Yes, so thank you so much again for watching. And we want to just be in a position of helping and serving. We like to do these on a regular basis, maybe even a monthly basis, of hitting some shorter topics, maybe 9-10 minutes, and really kind of digging into it with some more notes always involved. But in the meantime, if you need anything, just reach out to us. We'd love to help serve you. No strings attached. And stay healthy, wash those hands, and I hope to see you in person soon once the quarantine is lifted. Right, Tom?
Yeah, there's also information on our website, geniejardigital.com. Just click on blog. Brian does a super job at putting information out there that helps. So we want to help you. We want to invest in you in that way. So feel free to do that stuff. And again, any questions, we're here.
And happy Friday, everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time around. Take care. Bye-bye.